Well, good evening, everybody, and welcome to a very festive Trading Boundaries, and in association with Prog Magazine. We're delighted to welcome you again to Roger Dean's 2020 Pathways exhibition here at Trading Boundaries. And the great news, as of today, we are now back open again. Hopefully open right the way through the Christmas. Without any more hopeful lockdowns or whatever. So if you would like to come and see the exhibition, we are taking by appointment for the main gallery. So just give us a call or email either showroom@tradingboundaries.com or just give us a call on 01825 790 200 and just make an appointment to come along and see. Otherwise, come along and shop for Christmas as well. Anyway, thank you very much for coming tonight, and I'll pass you over to the maestro himself, Mr. Roger Dean. Thank you.
Thank you. So we're going in here. I'm going to shut this one door, Michael, so we can get at the first painting. A door that nearly fits. So this is, we've been here before. 2 weeks ago, we had a look around this room when it was empty, but the sound didn't work, and I'm hoping today we're going to make up for that with brand new microphones, and so far so good on the internet. So the first painting in this room is done for Skyscraper Souls, DBA, the first album I worked on with them. And it's a painting of a cityscape, a garden cityscape at night. And it's done in watercolour, and it's done with many coats of blue all over in the sky. And then I painted the structures with water. I basically rinsed off the watercolour in different degrees and different layers to get that sort of three-dimensional quality. And I imagine many watercolour artists have done that, but for me it was an experiment. I'd never tried it before. I'd never seen it before, actually, but for me it worked. I love the density of the colour, and I love the scale, because I don't usually do, or hadn't worked in watercolours as such. Since then I've done it quite a few times, and it's very enjoyable, a lot of fun. The next picture was from 2008, and it's a painting I did for Puccini's first full-length opera called Edgar, and it was done for the opera at the Puccini Festival for his 150th anniversary. And I designed the sets, and Freya designed the costumes, over 300. She wasn't expecting that, because I told her, how many can there be? There's only 3 or 4 main characters and 3 acts. But there was a chorus and all kinds of other things, so there was over 80 different costumes per act, and many of them had to be redone and replaced. So it was I think she did do 300 costumes. And I did this for the poster, but Freya added figures. So the poster for this opera included her figures. We worked a year on that, and it was interestingly different to doing rock and roll stages, but no less fun. I think we both enjoyed it immensely. And really nice people out in Terra del Lago, which is where the opera was based. It was open air, and the singers sung to an audience of 3,000 people without microphones. They just did it by the power of their voice, and that was amazing. It was really amazing. Beautiful voices, incredibly impressive, and a huge amount of fun. And the opera was voted the best opera of the year from the point of view of the music and the sets and the costumes and everything. So, and that was a vote in the Italian press. So that was nice for us as well. This is meant to be a sort of 14th century mountain village with a city and castle in the background. The story for this, I have to say, I love Puccini's music, but the stories are often bizarrely shambolic. Anyway, it was fun and not particularly really focused into history. It was just indicated as 14th, 15th century. Anyway, as I say, a lot of fun. And I love working in those muted colours. So this is acrylic actually painted on board. What's called masonite in America, and we used to call hardboard here. It's resin reinforced cardboard, basically. I'm coming around the corner now. So these pictures are in strange order. This is a kingfisher done for another DBA album called Halcyon Hymns, and DBA stands for Downs Braid Association. Really lovely music, and this painting is part of the logo rather than the painting, the cover itself. So actually we might cut right across the room to the painting for the album. Can you do that?
Mm-hmm.
All right. So we're going to make you all seasick as we swing the camera around. And this is the watercolour I did for Halcyon Hymns. And strangely enough, it was all done in front of a camera. So when the album comes out, the rumour has it that this painting will be painted from beginning to end on an extra DVD. Check though. I mean, that might be just an enthusiastic rumour, but I think it might be true. I love doing it. It was inspired by the common usage of the word halcyon to indicate summer days of quiet and peace in the past. But halcyon also had that kingfisher connection. It was where a mythical kingfisher made its nest at sea in the middle of a storm, where they made a quiet patch just for her to make the nest and lay her eggs. Worth checking out. So I wanted a summer glade with the pool for the kingfisher and a village. I didn't realise I was going to put a village into the painting till it was getting quite underway, and it sort of grew out of the shapes that were there.
Did I sneak up on you?
Sorry?
Did I sneak up on you?
You did. You did.
I'm like a ninja.
Yes. Christabel the ninja with the camera. Okay, we're going to go back to the way we were going. That way we'll just wander around the room. Michael has managed to fill this room up with furniture since we were last in here, and it has the slightly wonderful effect of making the sound less echoey, so the sound should be better. This is a painting done which was inspired by Relais, actually, and I was looking for a Celtic look from Celtic mythology of a fortress watchtower which would partially built with the skulls of mammoths. And I liked the sweep of that tower from Relais, so I borrowed it wholesale and imported it. It's another watercolour, I think. No, a mixture of watercolour and ink drawing in the foreground.
I don't know if anyone can see at home, but I've perfectly framed this so that Roger's head protrudes out eerily from the tower. And I think anybody who paints that image
just behave yourself, Christabel.
should be given a prize, just saying.
Okay. Again, it's a lovely little painting. Okay. The original of Close to the Edge got very seriously damaged, and I did repaint it twice. and this is the second repainting of Close to the Edge. Obviously the theme is the same. It's this lake which is forever flowing, ever being refilled. And because it was part of the original story going back to 1972, even though it didn't appear in the first painting, this coming from the right-hand side of the painting and drifting across is the floating island with a pond of its own in there, also overflowing. This is part of a story which started with Fragile, and it's being reworked as we speak. It's been reworked several times with the hope that one day it will be made into a book and a film. We've had interest in both of those in projects, and it's something that is currently happening. I don't mean we're making the film, but the story is currently being polished. I love painting waterfalls. Are you with me, Christabel?
I'm always with you, Roger.
We're linked by a microphone cable. This is an interesting painting for me. This was the first of two paintings I did for a project, a real project actually, not a fantasy project, to design a moon base. And this was the moon base that we're actually focusing our attention on is underground. It's in a cave, but there had to be some element above ground. So I just played with this idea. But the bulk of this project is going to be underground. And the reason I was involved in that is that for human beings on the moon, there is a lot of dangers. It's a vacuum. You get extreme cold and extreme heat alternating. You get radiation that will kill you. You get micrometeorites, you get moonquakes. There's a lot of reasons to be very, very careful on the moon. But the theory was, or the thought was, that human beings on there, in addition to being very careful, are going to be essentially in a high-tech prison, more isolated than human beings will ever have been. And mental health was a big issue. And because my architecture was based on psychology of built environments and how to make spaces where people feel calm and tranquil, I was involved in the project. So it was a wonderful thing. I'm hoping it's going to happen. The idea was to build a prototype of this project using the technologies that would be available on the moon, and to build it on the regolith on Mauna Loa in Hawaii, where the regolith, which is the stone there, is very similar to that that's on the moon. And the plan is to start the process with robotic work, and they would do the same on Mauna Loa. Hopefully this will happen. Hopefully it happens soon. Anyway, a lovely project. For me, it was great fun working on it and doing the drawings. So what we have here is just one painting that wasn't used, but there are paintings that were, and there are drawings that will be. But
did you paint the stars in the correct constellation as they would be viewed from the moon?
No, I got a lot of things were just impressionistic. The stars absolutely were. And the rock formations are eroded in a way that simply wouldn't happen on the moon. There isn't the weathering and the geography that would allow for that kind of erosion. So when I did the new version, I fixed all that, but I didn't fix the stars. That would have probably driven me totally crazy, getting them all exactly right. Nice thought though, but yeah. This is a painting I did from quite a few years ago now. I was at a animation conference in Newcastle University, and I was travelling with a friend back to the airport in Manchester, and as we crossed the Pennines in the very early hours of morning, just as it was getting light, in the distance was a power station with steam coming out of it in very much that shape. I sketched it and took photographs of it and thought one day that's going to be a painting. And this is it. And hopefully, before the end of this talk this evening, I can remember the name of the power station. Visible from the Pennines as we came down towards Manchester anyway. Can you follow me over here?
I can.
Okay. Probably ought to come round and be square on. So this was from the first series of talks done in the online school that Freya and I set up, and I did lots of pencil doodles for this, and then the painting was done live in front of the class, and that was it. But I liked it. I liked the narrative sense of the painting. It looked like something was happening, and I wanted to engage with that. And around the same time, I was asked by the Flower Kings to do an album cover for them, and their album was called Island, and I'd called this painting Island Ferry. So, I'm getting a clue of what that first painting, the one of the power station, was called. It was called Something Ferry Power Station. So half got there. Anyway, this is the finished painting based on that sketch. What I've done here is basically given it quite a lot of depth, so it's clearly part of a bigger rock structure. And the figures on the island that's floating in, and figures here waiting. If there's any questions, please ask. For me, that was a culmination of, as I say, for a great many doodles and thumbnail sketches. So I was very pleased with how it came out. I've been thinking about it a long time. Probably won't be the end of the story either. I imagine I'm going to do more on this theme. I haven't really finished exploring where the rocks go yet. Not by a long way.
Do you ever do paintings, Roger, that you decide you don't want anyone to see, or you don't want to pass on?
What, because I think they're horrible, or?
Yeah, because they're horrible, because they're too special, or any reason?
Not really. There are definitely paintings I would prefer people to see than others, but none are actually... I don't think that I've got any that I just wouldn't want anyone to see. If there's a good reason for that, I'd fix it. You know, if I thought this is too awful, I would fix it or get rid of it. I can't remember it ever happening. I can remember thinking something was wrong with the painting and fixing it. And I can remember thinking this isn't going to be fixable. That's not recently, because an acrylic painting always can be fixed. But when I was doing very tight watercolours on drawings, yes, I did one or two. Or I'd worked for a couple of hours and I thought, nope, this is going to be too annoying. And I'd start again. So yeah, that's happened. But never, I don't think, I've done a finished painting that I didn't want anyone to see. So what we have here is a watercolour done for Steve Howe, and it's called Under the Bridge. And again, I love the vividness of those watercolours. They are manufactured by a company called Graham Martin, and I think I've got this right, that instead of having gum arabic as a base, it has a honey base, which makes it possible to get those really, really vivid colours. So this is kind of like an underworld where the city would be above, in a series of connected bridges. So these, although these are bridges connecting bits, I'm thinking of some kind of mega structure above the painting and out of sight. So there were lots of things about this that intrigued me and attracted me. One was, again, a narrative possibility. The colours were I found the colours very interesting. And the hardness of the shape. So it was a lot of experimental bits. And very heavy paper too. The paper is 638 GSM, which means it's almost like cardboard, and I didn't need to stretch it. It would stay flattish while I soaked it and worked on it. Okay. Aha. So we're coming to Halcyon hymns again. So we just walk past.
I'll just do a little close-up.
Okay. I'm going to go quiet while Christabel does a close-up, and I'm going to go and pick up a painting and come back. Have you done your close-up?
I've done my close-up.
So, a few years ago, I had a terrible accident when I shipped some paintings, and there were 7 in a crate. And when they were unpacked, for some reason, although they were, there was a sheet of paper saying the title of each of the 7 paintings, the people unpacking it, for some reason, thought there was only 3. And the rest got scrapped in the crate, so 4 of them got destroyed. And one of them was the origin of this, which was called Land's End. So I repainted it a couple of times, and this is one version, and I retitled this one Finisterre, which is, everyone who lives in England knows the weather forecast, knows Finisterre because of all the storms. But Finisterre simply means Land's End in French. What I was doing with this painting, really, it was all painted in the same colours, but I was showing how zinc white allowed you to push something back into aerial perspective just by painting it with a few coats of zinc white to take the rock formation in the background further back. And this was done live as well. This was also part of the course and a painting session. So are we moving on?
Oh, you tell me.
Okay. So this is the pair to that painting Under the Bridge. So this is also, of course, called Under the Bridge, and very similar in shapes and geometry to the first one. And if you've got Steve's album, you'll have both of these paintings on it. another watercolour, and yeah, great fun playing with the colours. I love the saturation and the sort of vividness of those watercolours. Let me have a quick peek at. Yes, so as I say, Steve Howe's album Anthology 2, if you want to get it. And I think this is going to be our last live session walking around in Trading Boundaries. We're probably finished earlier today because we've been here in this room before, albeit without sound, which was very annoying. And I'm not sure what we'll do because I'm going to talk to Freya, but next week we're going to take off. We're not going to do anything, going to have a break. And I don't know if we're going to do anything more before Christmas. We're going to do the Monday night talks. We've got Steve Howe and Thijs van Leer and Annie Haslam coming up in those conversations. They'll be Monday night at 7. And then we're going to do some more live work, probably now as we're sort of crashing into Christmas, immediately after Christmas. And Freya and I are going to go back to doing our live, oh no, will they be live? Recorded Q&As. Yeah, so we're going to do some of those Q&As again, as well as doing the live talks. So if you can make it down to Trading Boundaries, the show is going to be on here at least until the end of January. Michael, if he has to close again, he might extend it, so it might go on beyond the end of January. And if you have any questions, do ask, do write them in. Thank you very much for joining us. Am I going to come round in front and say goodbye?
I thought I'd make a full circle before you finished up.
But you know, I'm going to have to follow you because I'm still stuck to you.
I'm going to go back to where we started.
All right.
There we go.
Okay.
Done.
Thank you everybody for joining us. And I will say, if we don't do it before, we will be back the first Thursday in the new year.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Happy Christmas.
Yes, have a brilliant festive season. Christmas and New Year. Thank you very much.